almost forgot to start the stream on time, but I did. Wow, I'm blown out. Hold on, let me turn off some of these lights here. Let me unplug that. Goodbye, lights. Okay, that will help. Man, I didn't even check the cameras. Emoto's gonna be so mad. Which camera is it? It's that one. No, oh goodness, we're using the worst camera. Hello, everybody. I want that camera. Actually, yeah, that works. That one? Hello. Okay. Man, I was doing a great job setting up for this stream today, huh? Oh God. Look at that floor. Hi, Emoto. Hello, Internet. Oops. Why can't I get this to do what I want it to do? Okay, that's possibly better. Now let me sit here. Simulate sitting. Okay, that's not so bad. Cool. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Now how do I make this work? Cool. Okay, look at that. And we'll just swap those in a minute. Hello, Internet. It's your extraordinarily sick and reluctant host, me, today. Hi. I'm actually not as sick as I was yesterday, but I do feel like garbage. So we are going to probably cut this short. I'm going to finish this, and then we're going to leave, because I don't feel so hot, so I'm really sorry. Let's check up with the chat. Nintendo Raimi, hello. No, I don't have any soundboards to fix. I've already done that a little bit ago. Epic Music, I have no idea what the music was. But I bet it was good because it was Emoto's choice. Hello, Johnny Demonic TV. This is Marco, but it's not like the main warehouse. It's a building like a couple miles away that we have to store things in. Gabor says, I did this job yesterday on a Bally Viking Pinball rectifier. Yeah. Well, so I've done half of this. We were mostly coming in here just to replace the rectifiers and the header pins, and that's kind of where we're at right now. I do need to do some re-pinning of some connectors inside the head, but that'll probably be for another time. You saw Slowdive about 8 years ago, best show ever. Yes, I have seen Slowdive every time they've come through the United States since they reunited, however many years ago. Slowdive is my favorite band ever. Actually, I have. I am a friendly acquaintance of Christian Saville. He plays guitar in Slowdive. I'm very lucky that I've gotten to hang out with him. Spent a weekend in Savannah with him this year, which was really fun. I'm friends with the guy I do work for in Savannah. He's in a band with Christian, so that was really fun. He's an amazing dude. Really fun to talk to. He likes to eat granola just like me every day. Even though he's one of my musical heroes, he is just like me at the end of the day. Lewis, I don't have COVID. I just have a really bad flu. I got a migraine that came on like last Saturday, and it's like never gone away. But then that migraine kind of transformed into a head-pounding headache with like a fever that went away after a day. And I've tested negative for COVID a bunch. So yeah, no, I tested myself for COVID again this morning, and I'm still negative. So we're going to finish this job, and then I'm going to go home and rest. We'll see what happens. See if I feel better or worse. I felt worse yesterday, but I feel a lot better today. Just have a nasty headache. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm sorry you got a positive COVID result, Pinball 122. It's not fun. I don't know if I've ever had COVID. If I did, it was secret, but I've never like tested positive for it yet. So knock on wood. Anywho, so yeah, we'll definitely be cutting this just a little bit early today, so I can get some rest. And Emoto, who will be here soon, can also get some work done because she's really busy. Rampomatic says it's the plague. It probably is. South Carolina is basically the Middle Ages, so I probably do have some sort of a plague. It's hilarious, actually. Being a experienced earthquake veteran, we had a couple earthquakes yesterday that you could kind of feel, and it's like watching all these South Carolina people just go like absolutely like into it's the end times mode because their house wiggled a little bit is kind of amusing. It's not that funny, but it's amusing. It's like a 3.2 earthquake. That's come on, that's lightweight stuff. No big deal. Yep. My 115-year-old house survived, which is great. I'm sure my 115-year-old house has survived many earthquakes in its time, so it's fine. Is Emoto the one that greets you when you call Marco? Yes, it actually is. Emoto is the one that greets you on the phone. So everyone now call Marco and then just hang up immediately. Actually, you want to know something funny? I think in that phone greeting that Emoto does, or something with our system, it's like, if you want to place a new order, press 1. If you want to call about an existing order, press 2. It makes no difference. You just push whatever and you get to people. They have no idea what you're calling about. So there's a pro tip behind the scenes. Just push 1 or 2. It doesn't bring you anywhere different. How's the Jurassic Park home pin? It's fantastic. Actually, that's the game that I play most when I come over here because it's really fun. I really like the jump ramp. I really like the way the game shoots. I really like the simple rule set. Simple, but not like not simple in a negative way. Simple in a, I can gather what I'm supposed to do after playing like 2 games on it. So it's a good game. What level of earthquake tilts a pinball machine? I guess it depends on your tilt, really. But I'd say once you get over to that like 4.5 to 5 magnitudes, that's when things start to get really weird. If none of you have ever really experienced an earthquake, it is a little off-putting. It's very strange. But you kind of get this sensation of, I guess, like, the actual sound of an earthquake is kind of the weirdest part because it sounds like the trash compactor is kind of going, like there's this weird ominous rumble. But when you get the smaller earthquakes, the oscillations are a little quicker, so it kind of feels like you may be in one of those like vibrating chairs like at the fairgrounds or something like that. But the like a big earthquake is really weird because you don't get these fast oscillations. You get these ones that feel more have y'all ever seen like those like weird like I forget what they're called. My brain is not working today. It's like a centrifuge, but like they have centrifuges that don't just spin in circles. They have ones that kind of follow like an 8 pattern or something like that, and that's what like a big earthquake feels like to me. It's really weird when your feet are on the ground and you're standing, and like everything underneath you feels like it's kind of rocking in a oblong like pattern, but you're standing still. It's weird. Anyways, earthquakes are weird. Hopefully my house doesn't fall in a hole. Hi, Natalie. Welcome to the show. Experienced a small one in Indiana 45 years ago. Really weird feeling with the floor beneath you. Yeah. It's weird. It's definitely weird. So yeah, don't recommend it, but hey, whatever. I guess the funny thing actually is there's a fault. The fault that they're happening on is just a couple miles outside of town. But one of my friends on Facebook did a little bit of digging into it. There's actually like a sand mining operation really close to that fault. Fracking obviously causes really awful things to happen with the tectonic plates and stuff like that. But this isn't fracking, but they're mining sand, which is weird. And I wonder if that has anything to do with making that a little grumpier. Or maybe the Appalachian Mountains are just having a growth spurt and they want to get bigger, and that's fine. Indiana has earthquakes? Uh-oh. Yeah, let's stop talking about earthquakes and let's talk about what I'm actually working on. Thanks, Johnny Demonic TV, for playing Emoto. So give me a sec here. I want that camera to be that, and I want that one to not be that. I want it to be that one. Cool. Would you suggest adding Stern Insider Connected to a home use Deadpool? Yes, I would. It's not a super mega expensive accessory. There's not a ton of home connectivity things right now other than like getting the achievements and keeping track of your scores. Hunting achievements is really fun for a game that you've had at home for a long time, maybe like your Deadpool. Having a Insider Connected kit is a fun way to kind of chase some of those more difficult achievements that they've wrote into the program, but I've kind of seen a teeny bit of behind the scenes of what is coming for home games with Insider Connected. I can't say anything about it, but it is cool. And it definitely will make your home experience that much better. If you have a game on location, I would of course recommend adding Insider Connected for your players that frequent your joint. It's a great draw. I've added Insider Connected to the Iron Maiden at the arcade that I help work with here in town, and I'm really curious to see from the owner if the plays have gone up, because they definitely did when I added it to my Deadpool. So anyways, yeah, so let's talk about the rectifier board, because Emoto was like, I said it was I was going to write power supply. What's the power supply? Well, Bally kind of split things up a little bit, which is cool, actually. I guess you technically could call this a power supply. I refer to it as a rectifier board because that's kind of what it does. But generally, like in my mind, and I'm not an electrical engineer, so don't actually listen to me, but generally when I think of a power supply, it kind of does two things. It will create usable voltages for the device that you're using. Sometimes that will involve rectifying those voltages, so taking AC, rectifying it, turning it into DC, filtering it, regulating it, and then sending it off. What this board does is it does rectify 4 voltages, but it doesn't filter any of it. A lot of that and the regulation of some of these voltage takes place on the driver board, which I will show in the back of the game, maybe in a moment, but unless I have one out of the game. Whatever. So we've got AC voltages that come in from the transformer. I'm sorry, no, I take that back. We've got wall voltage that comes in here. Those wall voltages get popped out into the transformer via traces and complexities. Then the transformer then sends usable AC voltages back out to this board somewhere. So I'm trying to get a better view of it. So again, you've got on one of these plugs, I don't remember exactly which one it is. I think it's this one. AC voltage comes in from the wall. Wall voltage gets sent around or into the transformer through some of these pins here, and that's why these wires are soldered to the back of the board. Then transformer voltages come out. Some of them are rectified. I think they're in order, so by actual voltage. So like BR1 is 12 volts. BR2 is your lamp voltage, 18 volts, I think. BR3 is your solenoid voltage, 43 volts. And then you also have another rectifier down here, but it's a discrete rectifier. So we have 4 diodes, which is essentially exactly what a bridge rectifier is. I'm sorry, what one of these like case rectifiers is, just with 4 diodes. And this is for your high voltage here. So this rectifies 230 volts AC, I think, into 230 volts DC. And then what you do is you have some of these rectified voltages go off into the, oh, I'm making a mess. You have some of these rectified voltages that go off. Some of them get filtered, some of them get regulated. down to other voltages. The 12 volts that comes from this board gets regulated down to 5 to be used by the computer. That's done on the driver board. Some of these voltages just go straight off to things on the games, things that don't need to be filtered, maybe like the solenoid voltage or the filter or the feature lamp bus voltage, etc. So sorry, it's kind of complicated, but I probably didn't say that very eloquently. My brain, again, is not working. So, can I use a game plan power supply in a Bally if I swap the board? No, there is no reason to do that. You have the ability to buy both of the correct boards, so there's really no reason to use the incorrect board in that instance. Yeah, so there are heat sinks on it. So what we've got here is I'm just repairing the original board. The original board is blackened at the top. Those bridge rectifiers do get pretty hot, and in some instances these get really badly burnt up. This one, this one's never been changed. There was some soldering done on one of these, but I think they were just reflowing the solder on one of these rectifiers. Some of these can be really bad. This one's really not that bad, but this does require soldering skills to replace the this board. If you do have a badly burnt up one, you will need to replace it, and that involves soldering all of these wires onto the back in their correct spots. You cannot get these wrong. You will blow things up. So do be aware that this is not a beginner's job. We do have a version that has screw terminals for all of these, and that is also a viable option if you are not the best solderer, etc. So that can also be done. So this board isn't cooked that bad. It's just black. It's not brittle. It's not gross. When I unsoldered all this stuff, none of the screening came off. I've seen ones that are a million times worse than this. This is just discolored, and it looks worse on camera than it does in person. These big cement resistors are very inefficient. I mean, these big resistors are just heat sinks. They just bleed a ton of heat, and that's what kind of makes the board start to discolor. But this one's really not that bad. If it was bad, I would have changed it, but this one's not that bad, which is why I'm going through all the work to make it nice again. Also, I take pride in this Viking and being almost all original hardware, so I'm going to try to keep it that way as long as possible. Oh, Nintendo Ramy asked about a transformer. I don't know the question to that answer, but it's not hard to find a Bally transformer. They're abundant for people that have parted these out. I think also Homepin makes a modern transformer drop-in that has a replacement board and transformer. So you can look for that, but it's not hard to find a Bally transformer. No, y'all, I swear, this one's really not that bad. It just looks bad on camera. It's not super toasty or anything. So, hey, APB Enterprises, thank you for, wow, 24 months. Oh, 2 whole years. Man, you're amazing. Thank you for subscribing to us. Emoto will be back in just a moment. She actually stepped out to get her stepdaughter from school, summer school. So, hi, Colin. They're not hard to find. Just go to a swap meet. There's a bazillion of them sitting around everywhere. There are more scrapped Ballys that have happened with so many spare parts. You'll find one somewhere. Anywho, I wanted to kind of get to work and solder these headers back on so I can go home because I am not feeling well. If any of y'all did miss the top of the show, I am feeling like hot garbage. But I came here for you guys, and I'm going to finish the show. The show must go on. So, let's turn on ye old soldering iron. Probably. More scrapped Ballys than Sterns? I don't know. Probably, because Bally made more games. So I would imagine there are definitely more scrapped Bally games than there are scrapped Stern games. I am not doing well. I had a really bad migraine come on this weekend, and then it's like turned into a flu that's not a flu, and I've tested negative for COVID a bunch, but I still feel like hot garbage, so I am going to go take an early day. I was feeling really bad yesterday, and today I'm feeling less bad, but I seem to be doing worse as the day progresses. My head starts to pound more, so I can't forget you guys. So unfortunately, we will not be busting out the oscilloscope and poking that board today. I can barely even think straight, let alone figure out, have enough brain power to bust out the scope. So unfortunately, we'll have to wait for next week. Yeah, honestly, I might not even come to work tomorrow. I might just take a sick day and rest, but we'll see. I can also do a lot of work from home, so we'll see. I just needed some R&R, you know. Sometimes R&R is the best medicine, and I don't get enough R&R. So I'm going to suck out one hole here that was not perfectly sucked clean. Hey, Josh, you're here. Josh, can you tell me if when you collected from Iron Maiden, has Iron Maiden had a boost in income at all since we've installed the Insider Connected kit, or has it not been long enough yet? I'm curious. Did you get the swab? My daughter showed negative at 2 home tests, didn't show positive till she got the swab. I did not get the swab this time. I should, but I don't have other COVID-like symptoms, so I did not get the swab, but I should. This is leaded solder just because I have so much of it around. I am going to stop using leaded solder because it will go away eventually, and I need to get used to using leadless solder. But yeah, I've used it before. It's fine. I just am cheap, and I've been running off the same bunch of spools of solder that I bought at Fry's Electronics many years ago. Leaded solder is definitely easier to use, but it's going the way of the dodo, so better get with the times. These headers can be difficult to solder in because some of the traces you are soldering to are very thick, and they take a long time to suck up that heat. So what I'm doing here is I'm not touching the pin that I'm soldering on. I am holding the outside pins of this connector. What I'm doing is I tacked it on. I'm going to heat the pin I just soldered on up, make sure this is sitting nice and flat, and then I'm going to let it cool off. Ensure that it's actually sitting nice and flat and flush. It is, and now I'll just solder the rest on. Y'all are talking a lot. I'm going to read this. Pin guy's giving me migraine updates. That's great. Or tips. I'll try that. I get temperature-related migraines, so when it's hot and then it gets cold, or when it's cold and then it gets hot, that seems to trigger migraines sometimes, which is frustrating. Generally, a dark room and just relaxing will help, but I should try that too. Pinball Gramps, you're correct. I should go get a real test. Definitely. I haven't checked the plays or stats just yet, but I'm curious after just a week if it has caused it to go up at all. But we'll see as time goes on. Colin's talking about mixing different solders. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I've seen people that I respect their opinions very greatly say that that's kind of just BS, and those are electrical engineers. And then I've also seen some chemists say that that wouldn't work, but I think sometimes the practical experience trumps the maybe some of the you know, theory-based things, and I've never had much of a problem. But I mean, this is also leaded solder. It does have lead. This has lead, so it wouldn't be a problem anyways. Drink lots of beer. Alcohol does cure everything, you're correct. I probably will go home and have a glass of scotch and then lay down and maybe take a nap. Zeldaroid asks a very, very good question, especially when it comes to soldering. Do you use any sort of a fan or immediate personal space ventilation while soldering, or do you just rely on the room you're working on being large? Look, it's a little bit of both. I don't, a lot of my experience and a lot of times you're not lucky enough to have a controlled environment when you're soldering, right? Like if I'm at someone's house and I'm trying to repair something on their pinball machine, I'm not lucky enough to have a hood or a fan to blow the solder away. So right now I've got the air conditioning kicked on. This is quite a large room, and I am relying on my really strong ability to hold my breath for a long time. If I was lucky enough to have a shop or have it set up like I used to have a shop, we had a fan at the end of the bench that would just gently blow the fumes away. I definitely am just holding my breath, but ventilation is definitely the way to go when you are working on in a controlled environment like that. Yeah, that's a terrible thing, Rampomatic, but I definitely do see, like, it's funny because you have some sorts of people that have been around this stuff forever, you know, that's like, I've always breathed it in. It tastes pretty good, you know, and it's like, and these people are like 70 or 80, and then some people, you know, in that case, which is horrible and awful, but it's not worth, safety is the best, right? Like you work with whatever safety equipment you need. Just because you're wearing safety glasses doesn't mean you look like a loser. I'd rather have safety glasses on than lose an eye, right? So do things as safe as possible. Yeah, look, just be as safe as you can with the equipment you have. I have always not breathed this stuff in as much as I can. I try to keep away. I hold my breath. You try what you can get. When I have my own shop again, one day, when I am doing pinball repair for life, I will have a ventilation system and a fan, always. So. Hey, Joshua Rainwater, you're actually in luck. The NBA Fast Break ramps already exist. That is one I don't think Rampomatic will do, just because they do exist. Once Emoto gets back, we will get that resolved. I think we're using the same exact code from last week, but it should also be valid for this week. Maybe she just forgot to do some magic on the back end. So we will have Emoto check on that once she returns from playing bus driver. Sorry about that, but we'll get it rectified. Oh, get it rectified. We're working on a rectifier board.
All right, Gma's going to be here at 30.
I can actually hear Emoto right now on Zoom, so she should be here any minute. And we can all say, Emoto, nothing works, help us, help us, help us. I don't want to give people advice on like their absolute personal safety when it comes to working around hazardous chemicals. I will tell you what I have done. And that's about it. I can't give you a good recommendation. The good recommendation is please stand by all safety protocols, such as having a hood and good ventilation. And I am in a gigantic room that has decent ventilation because I have the air conditioning turned up because it is hot as hell in South Carolina. Yes, and also, Josh, as you know, we stock all of the Starship Fantasy ramps, and I have those in stock, so you're in luck, my friend. We definitely need to get new ramps in that. Hi, Emoto.
Hi, I forgot to mute my mic and my
video, so you guys got to watch my computer chair hang out and probably heard me come in with my kids.
Yes, we heard something
But hello,
about
everybody.
Grandma's going to be there soon, and we were fine because I wanted everyone to see the empty chair to let them know that you would be back eventually.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I'm here, everybody.
So we do have one issue, Emoto.
What's up, CNK and Gabor?
The free shipping code is not functioning. It says that it expired already, so I don't know if you need to just go change the date.
Free shipping code today is PT-Odin.
Oh, okay. We didn't change the video.
Sorry, I thought I swapped it, but I didn't. So
sorry, everybody.
So just kidding. Whoever had stuff in their cart ready to go, PT-Odin. Do we sell the original Star Trek back glass or just the prototype?
We sell the. I think we sell only the production version, not the lower production version. The first couple Star Treks, or the first couple thousand that they made, had the same uniforms and color schemes that were used in the television show. And that didn't really sit okay with Paramount, or Paramount had the idea. It's like, well, since we're releasing the movie, let's change their uniforms. So most of the games were released with the movie-style uniform, which is the more, you'll see more of those around. But that is why there are two different styles of Star Trek back glasses for the Bally Star Trek.
Nice.
For all of my Trekkie friends. Okay, nice. I've soldered those on. Okay, well, now we're done with the stream. We're all going to... No, I'm just kidding. We'll get the rest of it installed, and then we'll be good to go.
So you finished soldering the heat sinks? And...
Yeah.
Oh, well, now you just have to put the metal heat sink plate on the back?
Yeah, we've already got our heat sink paste, so we'll put the heat sink on, and... with the great tip from our friend Daniel, who's not here right now, I was trying to make sure that the rectifiers were sitting flush with the board. And he was like, oh, you should just tighten them down and then solder them on. It's like, oh, yeah, duh. That's actually the great tip. Thank you.
That was a great tip.
Hey, Emoto, Colin's offering you a great deal.
I know, I said yes.
Oh. Okay, Colin. Well,
Nintendo Ramy said the pic on the website shows the colored suits versus the gray.
I would need to go double check what we actually have in stock, but I'm pretty sure that we have the... I don't remember. I'd have to go see. I know that's not a great answer. I'm sorry.
They are the colored. Oh, yeah, that is so.
Hello, Vernicious.
Hello.
Everyone
Welcome.
is actually mad at me for doing the show. Everyone wants me to go home because I don't feel hot. So we're going to finish this up, and then I'm going to go home. Okay. Unfortunately, I have one broken standoff here, which is fine.
Oh, no.
It will hold itself on with 3, and I could replace this. Let me do my due diligence and make sure I don't have one. But we stock those. I don't know what the part number is, but I know we have them. Where would these be in my box of horrors? Probably in here. Yep.
Did you just say box of horrors?
I have a box of horrors. Pinball parts is my box of horrors, just FYI, if anyone was curious. Nope, I don't have one. I don't have the correct one. I have some standoffs, but not the ones we need for this job. So, oh well. 3 out of 4 is okay to me right now. Okay. You know what? And also, before we put it together, We're going to do one last check, especially since I did half of this last week and I'm doing the rest of it now. Just double check our work really quick. I'm using my jeweler's loop here to make sure that we have lovely connections. Nothing is bridged where it should not be bridged. Yes. Now, if anything explodes when I put it back on, it's my fault because I just gave the sign off on it. Okay.
Oh.
My heatsink just fell off, and I lost a screw when I turned it up. This job is extra nasty because it's a lot of soldering and also like heatsink paste, which is gross on its own. For any of you guys who have ever built a computer can attest, or worked on anything that requires icky, sticky heatsink paste. Get these nice and tight here. Not super tight, just tight enough. All right. Excellent. Now we can get in here and solder the rest of our rectifiers down. Ugh. Yeah, I need to replace all of these damn standoffs. None of them are really doing their job. The standoffs are there to hold the board down. I guess they're also, it's also kind of like double held on via the screws that hold the rectifiers down. I will need to replace these, but again, thankfully you can do that with the with this still installed in the game. It's easier to work on on the bench, but it's okay. Let's do a little bit of soldering. So yeah. I'm going to get skinnier solder. I have to order or get another roll of my thicker solder. Since I don't do as much traveling work anymore, I always forget to refill my tools. All right, and now I'm simply going to just solder all of these bridge rectifiers to the board. These will also take a while to solder, heat up the pads fully, so you really want to make sure that you're placing your heat from the iron on the board to heat up that trace that needs to, well, not only the board, but heat up the board and the component itself. So we're going to get the flat side of our soldering iron tip and lay it flush against the board and butt that up to the leg of the bridge rectifier. That way we will have good heat conduction both ways. We don't want to just lay hot solder on the board if the component's not cool, or if the component's not hot, because that is how we create a cold solder joint. The reason this is kind of important here is just because the trace is gigantic, and it's going to act like a giant heat sink for the soldering iron. So.
Oh, okay.
That's good. Generally what I'll do is I'll work on one side, right? I'll lay the soldering iron down here and I'll apply the solder opposite. And if it's melting the solder on the trace away from the soldering iron, that's how I know that the pad is like fully heated and it is ready to take on some solder. This is being nitpicky, but it's also important, I guess.
Seems like pretty good practice.
This is also why you do need your soldering iron to heat up to like 800 degrees sometimes. Mine's only at 750 right now. I should bump it up a little, but it's okay. Okay. Thank you, Pinball Gramps. I appreciate it. I am going to go home and take care of myself again. This time with some scotch, because that's going to definitely make me feel even better. Or make me want to fall asleep a little more, that's all.
Nap time.
All right. I'm going to rinse and repeat that entire process for one more bridge rectifier. Whee! Get all that nasty smoke away. I think I got lost on a thought, but the Johnny Demonic was like, wait, aren't there supposed to be heat sinks on that thing? Yeah, so some of the replacement boards you'll get for these have the heat sinks on the other side, and the bridge rectifiers will also be on this side, not on the back. And that's a better way to do it, but the way that they did it back in the day was they had these skinny bridge rectifiers that would sit on the back of this board with a plate that would then attach to this giant bracket. And this entire bracket that holds the transformer and this board is essentially the heat sink for these 3 rectifiers. So the reason why a lot of the replacement boards don't do it that way is because this package size resistor or bridge rectifier is ancient and no longer available. So even though that we as Marco sell a replacement for it, it's not exactly the same size. They're a little taller than the originals. So if you were going to work on your board here, and then, what was I lost, I'm sorry. This is my sickness brain. You need to replace all 3 of them as a set. When you replace all 3 of them as a set, they're all going to be the same thickness. If you replaced one, the new one is going to sit taller and thus not allow the other ones to touch the heat sink and cool off. So.
Nice. So Kyle,
What?
Vernicious was asking if you are or are not a fan of Flux. What are your thoughts on Flux and suggestions for it?
I didn't clean the backside of the board. I'm a huge fan of Flux. I have some Flux, and I forgot to. With Flux. Oh, I'm sorry. No, for this I'm not really using any Flux because the connections are all on the top. I don't need I don't need it to flow through the. I don't need it to flow through the board. So when I'm doing stuff like this, I'm just using the Flux that's actually in the solder. A lot of the times I'll use Flux on old solder that I need to melt cleanly and clearly, if that makes sense. But I do, when I use Flux, I use a paste Flux. I don't like the liquid stuff. I'll show you. I have a gross bottle of it on the bench right here in front of me. And
yeah, you've probably seen it. It's like that. It's very thick, pasty, and needs to be wiped up.
Yeah, it's like in this, it really wouldn't help me that much, and it just makes more of a mess that I need to clean up. I did forget to clean off the back of use flux remover on the back of the board, but I also didn't get it that dirty. But yeah, just
there it is.
It's gross. The thing is like when you use too much flux, it just makes everything really messy. So you don't I don't like using too much of it if I don't need to because it just creates more work to clean up. So that is I've had this for a gazillion years and at least 8 years, and I haven't finished the tub yet. And here's the toothbrush that I use to scrub things down. It's disgusting.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, you
How many more years do you think that will last you?
What?
How many more years do you think that will last you?
Well, since I really don't work on pinball machines anymore, probably the rest of my life. But yeah, I don't know. So I use flux generally when I'm trying to remove things cleanly, or if I have to really ensure that things need to make it from the bottom of the board to the top of the board. So what I'll use is, like if I'm, especially when I'm doing like IC sockets, if the board is at all compromised, like burnt, looks weird, has corrosion, I'll use some flux to make sure that it flows all through the back of the board to the front of the board. I don't use flux here because I just need to get the solder to stick to one side. Most of the time I use flux to ensure that I can melt old tarnished solder faster. So yes, long answer short, I love flux. But I don't use it all the time because it's messy and unnecessary a lot of the time if you know what you're doing. Or you're just picky like me. I'm also not an expert, and the way I do things is not necessarily the correct way. But I'll give you my opinion. Ta-da! That's not so bad. So I think one of the next things we're going to do, because we're not going to end this like really. Oh, wait, Vernicious says, follow-up question, what do you have to be very careful to avoid when soldering bridge rectifiers or anything really? Don't burn things. Make sure that you've heated up the component and the board nicely so things flow the way they need to. You know, those are the really important things. I've done more thorough soldering examples a long time ago on this show. Probably maybe would want to check out some of those. I don't remember really where they were.
Vernicia said, so burning a green a little on the board is not a big deal?
No, absolutely not. I mean, look at this board, right? It's pretty gross to begin with. Like it's got, you know, it's not gross, but it's tarnished. Those rectifiers have gotten hot, and they've discolored the board. But it's not burnt. It's not bad. It's just discolored, right? What you see a lot on these boards is that when things go really bad, you'll literally burn holes where those bridge rectifiers were, and then that's when they become unserviceable. This one is absolutely serviceable still. I like Digirati Ohm's treatment for sickness right there. I think that's a great trick. See, that's a great way to open up your sinuses.
Sounds great.
Make you feel good.
You should do it.
Yeah, I should do that, huh? I'm gonna have a sip of this delicious scotch I just got, and that will really cure me. Anyways, let's do a modification I do like to do on these old games. It's not 100% necessary. We did it on Skateball. Not Skateball. What's that game called? Strikes and Spares. Ugh. But what we'll do is we will add a bypass for the 12 volts that goes from one of these connectors here up to the playfield. So what we have is, I think that this is what this connector is this one is your wall voltage input. Again, that's why it's very important to know what you're doing when you're touching this board. Either unplug your pinball machine or ensure that you remove the 120 volts that goes to this board. I believe it is this plug. You've got power to the playfield. No. How do they? Actually, let's bust out the manual so I don't say this wrong. Yeah. So you have 3 different plugs. One plug goes. So let's see. One is from the cabinet, right? So J2, I was wrong. It is this one here. This is one from the cabinet. So the longer of the 2 short ones. That is from the cabinet. So we've got AC power coming in, AC return, and then the power plug ground is all on this plug. This also distributes power back into the cabinet. Right, so we've got on the manual, it's showing me we've got our flipper voltages here, right? Because the switches inside the cabinet supply ground to the flippers. So we need to supply flipper juice here. We've got general illumination here. And we also have that's what I just said. We have general illumination here as well for the coin door, etc. The small plug here supplies power to the playfield. So we've got a general illumination bus, we've got 2 general illumination buses, we've got our switched illumination bus, or feature lamp, and our solenoid bus, all right here. And then the long plug here goes to the back box. So that's where we've got DC voltages coming out that go to the back box to get filtered, etc. The back box then distributes these voltages elsewhere via the driver board and stuff like that. So this is the safety plug here, J2. Make sure you know what you're doing when you're messing with this, please. Or just unplug your game. I don't want you to zap yourself. I have zapped myself multiple times working on these boards because I felt like I knew what I was doing and I made a mistake. So don't be like me. Anywho, we're going to run a patch wire here. Normally what I'll do, I'm just double checking here, BR2 and test point 3. So bridge rectifier 2, which is that one in the center here. This is what supplies, this is what rectifies our 12 volts AC into 12 volts DC. In actual practice, generally this is like 13 to 15 volts. But what we're going to do is we're going to solder a wire here to our test point. And then we are also going to solder a wire to the ground, which would be this bit of the bridge rectifier. What that will do is it's going to bypass one of the pins on this guy. So what happens is your 12 volts, there's a skinny little orange wire that attaches to one of these pins. Actually, let's go back to the manual. I can tell you exactly what it's next to.
Oh, should I pull it up? I want to pull it up.
It's cool. I can show you here, actually. Or no, just do it. So go to, you have to find the power, Bally calls it the power transformer module schematic. So it's not that one.
Hold on. Let me swappy swap. Swappy swap.
Jaded, yes. Stick big screwdrivers. Digirati, I've got a 12-year Belvini single barrel Scotch that I got that is quite good. I'm starting on something a little light while we're going through my Scotch journey with one of my friends who really wants to take me to a Scotch club in Scotland. So, in London. So scroll down, or scroll up. Actually.
You said you too?
Oh. No. Scroll up. We need to find a different page. That page would work, but keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Wait, go back down. Nope, keep going up.
I was like, okay.
Keep going up. Okay, it's this one. So scroll to the right. Okay, yeah, that's good. So those are kind of what I was just looking.
This page is handwritten.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's so great.
So scroll down so we can get the big plug in the screen. Okay, so stop. Actually, wait, now scroll to the left. I think that needs to be done so we can see it on Twitch. Okay, stop. Go to the right just a teeny bit. Okay, now it's kind of set.
We want to see. Do we want to see the table of contents? Is that what we're looking at?
We're just kind of looking at that J3 one, but we can see exactly what we need to see here. So look at the J3 backbox one here. We've got number 8. You see how number 8 says 2 reg plus 5 input, right? So that means that is going to the input of the regulated plus 5 volts. That's our 12 volts that turns into 5. So if we follow that line back, it goes straight back to BR2. And on that test point there to the left, right of where your mouse is right now, that shows that test point 3 is going to be our unregulated 12 volts DC. They write 11.9 VDC, but Again, in reality, it's going to read higher, and it's also an unregulated voltage. What that ends up doing is going to become our regulated 5. But what happens sometimes, especially on really old games, is, do you see there where you see pin number 11? That guy right there, that's the big jerk in this whole equation. So that goes to the general illumination bus. And as we've talked about a million times in pinball and on this show, is the general illumination bus. So that's just from the transformer. That's 6 volts from the transformer. It doesn't get regulated. It's not DC. It's just AC. But as we know from a lot of things pinball, is the general illumination connectors were never built strong enough to put up with 40 years of usage. And what happens is when those start to tarnish, that gets really hot. We get the same exact thing like we do with the later games where the connectors start to burn. But what happens is if that pin starts to burn, it's only a few away from where that 12 volts goes to the regulator, right? So long story short, when that gets effed up, it burns the pin, and then that 12 volts never makes it to the thing. It makes the game not work anymore. Blah, blah, blah. What I'm going to do here, this is absolute overkill. I want this game to continue working past when I am dead. I want my children or whoever gets this game to inherit it and to continue using it and never need to work on it. We're going to run a patch wire that goes from this 11-volt test point or the 12-volt test point all the way up to where it gets used on the driver board. Instead of explaining all this, I don't know why the hell I'm not just showing you in a game. We've already done this once. Ugh.
Wait, explain again why we're doing this.
We're doing this because I am very anal, and I am also trying to be very thorough, and I've never done this on this game, so I want to do it now. So let's look at strikes and spares really quick, and I'll just show you what we did because we've already done this once.
Okay.
Right? I have this harness set up here. This is attached to the test point there. The black wire is attached to the ground on the bridge rectifier. These run straight up to the filter capacitor. So, and actually you can see there's that skinny orange wire right there that transports all 12 volts, which run your entire game. So that goes into here. That 12 volts then goes down through here, gets filtered in this capacitor, and then that goes into this 5-volt regulator. This turns 12 volts into a bunch of heat in 5 volts and sends it back out here. Then that 5 volts goes to run your computer, all your displays, etc. So this is just an extra anal mod that I like to put in to ensure that the 12 volts is interrupted forever. Uninterrupted forever.
Uninterrupted. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
And again, this wouldn't happen because we're also changing a bunch of the lamps to LEDs and we're reducing the current draw on there, but it's just kind of fun to do and it's redundant.
Kyle loves Molex. Right, Kyle?
Yeah, very much so. But again, I'm just doing this to be super redundant because it just makes me happy. So I'm going to try to undo some of the deficiencies from the original design to make the game work forever. I want these things to stick around longer than I do because that is now my life's work, I guess.
Yeah, it's your legacy.
I guess that's actually kind of depressing to think that this is, but it's also kind of exciting too.
No, I mean, it's cool. Do you put those little, like a little tag that says Black Cat Pinball worked on this at this date? Why?
I don't know.
You should.
You know what I do though? Like every time I work on a dog soccer, I have.
Can you tilt down?
Oh yeah,
so
I'm
we
sorry.
Can
every time I work on a dog soccer, and I take the soccer ball off, I always write Kyle was here and then put the date.
Aww.
On the playfield in a Sharpie. But you'll never see it unless you clean that soccer ball. Okay, it doesn't want to solder the test point because it's dirty.
See, JR knows. He said, way, way more people do way less for worse communities with their legacy. You are a bright light, amigo.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
That's very kind of you.
And Digirati's, the Molex comment was from Digirati saying, good boy, you put a Molex plug on there.
Oh.
Can't say how many games I've worked on where some idiot wired it directly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, that drives me nuts. Everything needs to be removable. If you can't, you wouldn't be able to service your driver board without disconnecting that, and you're not going to unsolder it. So spend the extra $3 and 10 minutes and put a friggin' plug on there. I'm going to go find myself a piece of black wire. Give me a second.
And Jaded, you're right. Hopefully, all of the games that Kyle touches are definitely going to last until the year 2100. It's his legacy. So while we wait for Kyle, just a reminder to everyone that our PinTech Live free domestic shipping for orders over $99 or $10 off international shipping is in all caps PT-Odin. Sorry, the other one was not working earlier. That was from last week. But y'all are good to go now. And in the meantime, we are really excited for Southern Fried Gaming Expo. We're about 2 weeks away now. It's going to be July 15th through the 17th in Atlanta, Georgia. Is there anyone in the chat besides us and Josh Rainwater that are coming down to Atlanta to come hang out and play pinball with us? Let us know. And then 2 weeks after that, we're going to California Extreme across the country to the West Coast. And that one's up in Santa Clarita. We fly into San Jose.
Santa
It's
Clara.
up in the Bay Area.
Santa Clarita is
Santa
in
Clara.
Southern California.
Santa Clarita. Oh yeah, I live like 30 minutes from Santa Clarita. That's where Six Flags is.
Check it out.
Santa Clara.
We're gonna
So if
use
you guys
pink
are coming
wire.
to that show too, drop it in the chat so we can look out for you. What did you just put in there? I can focus. Pink
look,
wire.
Molly Hatchet gifted a sub to C&K. You're awesome.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you.
Molly. Thanks,
We're gonna use
CNK,
pink
for
wire.
hanging out with us so much lately. It's been awesome, dude. Pink wire.
Yep, because
That's not standard.
I can't find any black wire. I used to have a big wiring harness in here. This is why I dislike communal spaces. Let me go on a rant. I used to have a big wiring harness in here that I'd cut pieces of things off, and now it's just disappeared. So I'm not saying someone stole it, but maybe. But anyways, look where this wire came from.
Misplaced.
Dun dun dun.
Nice. They use lots of pink wire.
Jersey Jack does use some really great
Digirati
wire colors.
Pinball will definitely be around in the year 2525. None of us will be around to prove it, but I can guarantee it. And Jaded, I thought you lived in Arizona. Well, we wish you could come to Southern Fried too, and hopefully we can catch you at a show one of these days.
All right. I'm gonna use this pink wire for ground. Pink is probably my favorite
Thank
color.
you, Josh. Talk to you soon. Shout out to Transmission Arcade. Thanks, y'all.
I am not scared of putting pink in my Viking, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna solder
it's
this
very
wire here
appropriate.
to the negative of the bridge rectifier. All of them are tied to the same thing, so I'm going to just use the one that's closest. That way I can bundle these wires together easier when I'm going in to make my harness. I don't think I'm going to make the other side of the harness today because I want to go home as much as I love you guys. But let's make this side of the harness, and then when we start next week, we can reinstall this, make the other side of the harness, and we can bust out the oscilloscope, hopefully with someone smarter than me to help us look, and we'll see if we can find the output. and see where we can find that problem with that output. This circuit is so simple, we should be able to figure this out extraordinarily easily. Okay, so I know we have some electrical engineers here. Let's give me some help. I think when you're using Molex plugs correctly, the driven device is supposed to plug in with this plug, correct? So since this is supplying the voltage, this should have this receptacle. Is that correct?
Hello, Daniel. Oh, Daniel just got here. Repeat the question.
Hi, Daniel. No, actually, I have a question. Daniel, did you figure out if you have a bad EGR valve? Is your car working again? I think the thing I always forget, so to me, this is what I would call a female plug, because this accepts this receptacle. We're not going over the birds and the bees, but you guys can get it. The thing is an actual standardization of this stuff. The female plug uses the male pins, right? When you're using these Molex pins, you have a pin that is shaped like this, and you have a pin that is shaped like this. So what I would call the male plug, this one, accepts the female pin. So in electrical engineer speak, they call this the female side because it has the female pin. I call this the male plug because it sticks into the other one. Whatever. I think actually I got it backwards. I think that the driven device is going to get this plug because this plug has the male pins.
Oh.
I think. But that's why I want, it doesn't matter in reality, but there's an electrical engineer here and it'd be really funny to have them remind me how this works.
Pinball Magician said the hot side should be the more protected side. And then Daniel said you're right on the Molex connector.
The hot side should have the protected side. Okay, got it.
Gabor said correct.
Yes, okay, so the hot side gets this one, which is protected. It is much harder to stick your fingers in here and zap yourself. So this plug, which I would call the male plug, receives the female pins, and it is from the driving device, which would be here. The driver board, which is receiving these volts, would get this. Now, this is
the whole is female.
But the problem is this is also backwards because in the circuit, the way I'm setting this up right now, if you were to unplug this, this would also be live. It would also have 12 volts on it. But again, it doesn't matter. I just like to try to get things right, and I like to learn these facts because that's what makes life interesting.
Oh, yeah. APB, thank you. Just take out the male and female confusion and just say plugs and sockets.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you don't, we can get rid of the
That's much better,
gendered.
because the male and female thing confuses me.
Well, that's the thing is that's why it always confused me too, because, anyways. The male plug gets I'm going to shut up.
The male is a plug, the female is a socket? No, don't even, just say.
We're going to stop now.
That's a plug, and that's a socket. Because male plugs have holes, and female sockets have plug. I don't know. I'm stopping.
Okay, yeah, here, let's
you're right, Pokey Lucky. You're still saying this socket holds this plug and this plug holds this socket is still confusing.
Look, we're just going to use the old school, back in time, gendered names for these plugs right now.
Insanity falls.
The male plug.
No, you're not using male.
We're going old school right now. The male plug gets the female pin. That's how it works. The female plug gets the male pin. You have to. That's the way I've remembered it because I have to remember it's backwards, and that's how I've remembered it, and I've never gotten it wrong since someone instructed me that. I was mostly curious on the driven device, which side of the plug and socket gets what.
The male plug gets the female receptacles. Wait, hold on. You're taking out gender. The plug gets the receptacle, and then the pins go in the sockets.
Sure.
This is why I'm a visual person. I just want to see this item here goes into this other item.
Fair. See, my brain ain't working enough today to even wrap my head and comprehend this well, so. For some reason, I'm sure there's a standard for this too, but since orange is going to be our 12 volts, for some reason, when I'm doing these, I always like to put
Oh, wait, you messed up. The orange wire is supposed to be the male plug, and the pink wire is supposed to be the female.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm just
End
kidding.
the show.
I'm sorry. I'm stop trying to add to the confusion. I'm just messing around.
I'm using, for some reason, like
Poor
for me to get this straight, I always like to put the, I always like, in a two plug situation, I'll always put the voltage on the instead of the ground on the top of the house. I don't know why. That's how I remember it when I go to do the other side, so I don't have to triple check. I'm always like, okay, voltage is on the top of the house, ground is in the basement, because that's the ground. So.
Oh, I like that.
I don't know why. That's just how I
Ground
always
is
remember.
In the basement.
And then since I'm not a monster, I'm gonna get some.
Sorry, come back. My dad never gave me this talk. Yeah, I said we always just splice the wires together and end the confusion once and for all.
Yes.
I do like the top of the house and the basement analogy. That actually helps a lot. That's a cool pin tip.
That's just how I think about it. I don't know why. These zip ties are overkill. I'm trying to see if I have any shorter zip ties, but now I'm like wasting time thinking about things that cost less than a penny. So I'm sorry, but...
It's the aesthetics.
Do I have any shorter zoogies in here? I guess not. Oh, wait, there's one. Wait, where'd it go? Come back.
When I get there next month, I'm going to rig so many more cameras so we can follow Kyle around the studio when he wanders away. Look at here.
All right, I got my short zoogie.
Got another shot.
I've got another short zoogie. Now I just need to find more. But since I'm not a monster and I'm really anal about cable dressing, we are going to make sure that this cable setup here is not floppy and weird.
APB says use telco butt spices. It will be fine.
I'm sure Andrew was sitting there just horrified watching me use the non-proper crimping tool to crimp these connectors. I'm sorry. I'm a one-tool kind of guy for this. There's a Molex engineer that's just rolling in his grave right now. I'm going to throw this garbage away. And then we'll kind of review what we've done. And I'm going to go, well, we'll cut the stream a little early today. I'm sorry for all of that, but... So,
Nintendo Rami said, where's the wax tape? You use wax tape?
Wax tape?
No. Wax tape. Oh, like cord covers? I don't know. CNK said, which machine has the two big Molex that get swapped and causes big problems?
Williams games.
Early Williams.
Yeah, early Williams games. I've done that before.
This is a cool
a lot
shot.
of work for myself. Here's what we're left with. We've got a repaired, or just a nicely repaired rectifier board. We installed new headers because the old ones were definitely tarnished and icky. We installed 3 new bridge rectifiers. They were all working previously, but when we were working on the game, we saw that some of the lamps were quite dim. And when they're quite dim, that could mean that our feature lamp rectifier starting to go. So, yeah. Ta-da!
That's it.
And now we've installed this little harness here
And
using a great rainbow sherbet color scheme.
it actually is pretty. Should do that to all of them.
Oh, ew. Oh, insulated butt connectors. Oh God, yeah, that is a war crime. Oh, whatever they use on EM. Yeah, Nintendo Raimi. That's always been referred to me as catgut. It's a weird, gross thing, but like, yeah, I guess it is. It's just a wax tape. But what he's referring to is like what they use to tie the wiring harnesses together on EMs.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we've got. I've got my bypass harness here that will do something because I'm anal, and we've got a nice transformer and everything ready to go back in the game next week, hopefully when I'm feeling a little better.
Awesome. Wait, can you explain what the harness is for?
Yeah, it's to
Not just do something, but just give everyone the definition of it.
it bypasses, it adds a bypass connector for the one pin that supplies 12 volts to the driver board. So if you ever lost good connection from that 12 volts right here, the entire game would not work. But it's me just being anal.
So it'll work for longer.
Yeah, I could stuff all sorts of incandescent bulbs back in this game and run it for 24 hours a day. And when that connector finally burns to a crisp, it will still always have 12 volts and the game will never not run. This is something I would really only do on a customer's game. Like if I was working on a customer's game that maybe had like a slightly questionable board that they didn't want to pay to replace or pay to have me work on or something like this, I could at least use this to ensure that the game would continue working. It's a little bit of a hack, but in this instance here, it's just going to make the game work forever. So that's what I'm doing.
Nice. Until 2025.
Yes.
I mean, 2025.
Sure.
Yeah, I messed it up already.
All the modifications I try to do to the games like this too are you always want to try to make sure that they're reversible. Like we don't want to ever do something like this that would not be reversible. If someone ever wanted to remove this, all they would have to do is unsolder it, and then it's gone and it's back to factory stock. So yeah. I'm exhausted.
Yay! Congratulations.
Oh, you guys are
So
great.
what can we expect for next week?
Okay, so next week we're going to put this back in. We're going to install the other side of the harness. I'm probably going to repin. Actually, I'll do most of the connectors and then I'll leave one or something like that to do on screen so we can all go over crimping again because that's super important. And then hopefully we'll bust out the logic probe or the oscilloscope and we will try to figure out where that signal is getting goofy and why that lamp's getting stuck on. Honestly, I think it might be, maybe it's just a bad SCR again. So before we even do that, I'll just replace the SCR and see what happens. But yeah, that's what we're doing.
Have fun bowling, Insanity Falls.
Bowling sounds really fun.
So wait, we're going back to the lamp mystery, the unsolved lamp mystery?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We're going to fix it tomorrow, or next time. I mean, it's like, we're going to figure out what's going on. Using the oscilloscope, we will be able to figure out where the problem is. The circuit is really simple. Data comes in, it goes into that chip, and then that chip should say, yo, go. We've replaced the chip. We've replaced the thing that it tells to say, yo, go, and it still doesn't work. But we know that the problem is on that board somewhere. So we're going to use a tool now to try to pinpoint it. Also, we're going to shotgun and put another SCR in there and see if that just fixes it, and then we don't need to bust the tool out, because maybe we had a bum SCR. I don't know. But we'll see.
Cool. The great lamp mystery continues.
Yeah. I want to go bowling. I don't know if there's like one bowling alley here, I think.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
When I was in Chicago, I was blown away by how many like bowling alleys were everywhere.
Oh yeah, I forgot Insanity Falls is in Branson.
Oh,
That's so crazy. I'll go bowling with you. No, I can't. I have so much work to do after this.
it can wait. Just
But
go drive
I
up there.
could.
Is there anyone streaming? Can we even raid anyone this
Should
early?
go to 1984 arcade after you go bowling. I love that spot. Probably going tomorrow night with the kids.
That sounds fun.
Let's see.
No, we did
Pick
not
them to
use
play
the
pinball,
scope. We're gonna
And then
bust
they
out
end
the
up
scope
playing the
next
crane
week.
game the entire time.
We're gonna bust out the scope next week after we shotgun another SCR and see if that fixes the problem. If that doesn't fix the problem, then we're gonna
It's
bust
true.
out the scope and try to pinpoint it. I'm perplexed just because it's so dang simple, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. Eternal Grummet, yeah, I know. But when your work is pinball work, it's not really work. I should just stop calling it work.
That's not
I
true.
should say I gotta do some pinball stuff.
That's
so I
not true.
can't
Don't
go
normalize.
bowling.
Don't normalize overwork culture, Emoto. Work is work.
No, whatever. It's not work. It's passion. No, we can.
Yeah, hey, we'll do that next week for sure. We'll definitely do that. I would like to try to relearn how to use a oscilloscope again. Anyways, it's been a while since I've had to bust it out. Thank you. Yes, this weekend is a holiday in the United States.
Yeah,
so-
everyone have a safe 4th of July weekend, especially if you guys are trying to blow stuff up.
Yeah.
Practice
Don't be
safe
dumb.
pyrotechnics.
Come back with all your digits. Don't drive because there's plenty of idiots that are driving while intoxicated.
Shame.
Yeah. I'm going to do nothing because my wife is not going to be around this weekend, so I'm going to sit around and just do nothing. Then she comes back on the 4th, so I get to pick her up from the airport on the 4th of July.
Tempest on an O-scope. I like O-scope better. It's hard to say that word. Sounds awesome.
That would be cool as heck.
Can we try to put the handheld camera through the oscilloscope? Oh, I said it right. Through the oscilloscope next week? I think it'll work.
No, mine's only 2 colors. Mine's also digital. It doesn't. I don't have a super cool vector monitor oscilloscope. I wish I did have one. I also wish I had a analog voltmeter. When I get my own shop or something, a new storage location, I want to buy an analog, a Simpson multimeter. I've always wanted one.
Yeah. Daniel says he gets to go to Vintage Vespa Rally.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Wow.
That sounds great.
And CNK, for ending, wants you to give us your best unsafe, foolish child fireworks story. And go.
Fireworks were illegal in the county I grew up in, so we had sparklers and those little things that when you light them would go and spin around, but we had to buy them in the city next door, so I never had fireworks.
That's a sad story. Colin Baxter's face got exploded by a mortar.
Oh my gosh.
I don't want to share any of my stories because they're bad.
Yeah, I'm not a big
But-
fan of the fireworks.
I love fireworks, but
They're just
everyone
loud.
should be safe with them.
What I used to do when I lived in Oakland, we would go. I had a friend that lived in a warehouse in East Oakland, and we would go down there and get on the roof of the warehouse, and it was always really fun because people would buy all the crazy, mortars and big explodey fireworks, and we'd be sitting on the warehouse, and you'd see them going off all over East Oakland, which is a really flat part of Oakland.
That's pretty cool.
And then what you would see also is the red and blue cop lights. So the red and blue cop lights would go, and then one little section would stop, and the rest of them would all be going. and then the cops would leave, and then another section would stop going, and then that last one would start going again. So you got to watch. It was like synchronized police versus fireworks.
That's wild.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, Roman Candle Wars was a staple at our house. I grew up in the southeast of the United States, where fireworks are illegal, but when you live in the woods,
Nothing's illegal in the woods. Yeah.
I don't know. But you know what is a fun game? If you do want to be slightly unsafe, but it's not like you're gonna die or anything. You take a mortar. You can use the smaller ones if you want, and you get your group of people if everyone wants to play, and it's like last person standing. So you take the mortar canister, and then light the mortar, drop it inside, and flip it upside down on the street, like in the middle of the cul-de-sac, and everyone stands around it. And then when it shoots up, because that's the little engine blasting, then that's your chance to turn and run, and everyone runs away and scatters, and then if you get hit by one of the shrapnels, then you're out. Kyle's not abused. See, this is why I didn't want to share my stories.
I mean,
Kyle
that just
so
sounds
not abused at
that just
how
sounds
unsafe
scary.
that is.
That's all.
But it's just hitting your back. I mean,
I guess so.
not bad, right? Don't run with your.
I had a
Colin
Vietnam
got
vet
shot
uncle.
with one in the face, and he's still here. So.
I had a Vietnam vet uncle that always used to get those mortars and stuff, and he was great at lighting those things off. I wonder if his previous experiences came into
Fire no!
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny though coming to South Carolina, because like there's like whole damn stores like for fireworks, and like you go to Costco and Costco just has like, you could just buy like, I don't know, like enough munitions to like destroy a small town from Costco. You know, it's like, okay, that's cool.
Oh, Costco was selling fireworks?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is hilarious.
Yeah, I know, you guys are having great stories. I hope everyone's reading them. Lots of Roman candle stories.
Yeah, I've
Joel,
tied,
the little skater
I've tied
ground.
bottle rockets to cars before, like little, like, and made them go, phew. That was fun, I guess.
Oh, bottle rocket cars. Yeah. Yeah, see, Colin knows. He's from the middle of the woods, too.
My dad used to just take us to go shoot
Thank you,
guns.
Digirati. Yes, disclaimer. Marco Pinball does not recommend or condone any activities mentioning Bayimoto during this presentation.
That's true.
100%. Yeah. Official disclaimer. Don't try this at home, kids.
Y'all are nuts.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, I hope it's a good one.
It'll be
and
great.
I hope you get to sleep a lot and
I'm probably just gonna
feel
drink
better.
a ton of
and then we
scotch.
can solve this dang mystery, lamp
yeah.
mystery.
Yes, we will
Next
try
week.
to solve that mystery using science and powerful tools next week.
All right, CNK, that's going way too far. That's crazy. You're crazy. I already knew CNK was crazy, but that just like escalated him into a whole new level of crazy.
I'm into that.
Wow. No.
They gave me a ride
man.
home.
Crazy and knows how to hack the system.
You guys are nuts.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and raid this, I think, Italian virtual pinball streamer. Let's just go say hi. Throwing some emotes in the chat and then going on.
Prego and ciao.
Yeah.
And
oh, and just a reminder, everyone, apologies, but we are closed on Monday, so we can all enjoy the weekend with our families. So thank you for your patience, and we'll get your orders out as soon as we can when we come back.
You're way too nice. I would rephrase that and say, hey, we're closed Monday because we need time off too, and your pinball can wait, dang it. But that's just me. What?
Well, that's why you're not in the customer service department. A day off. Yeah.
Yes, they do give that to us sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
We're on vacation every day.
Sure.
He smiles. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
See you next week.
Yes, sorry to have it end so soon, but We'll miss you.
Yeah, we did good.
See you later.
Good.
Ciao, bella Italia. Grazie della tutti. I don't know. I can swear in
Thank you,
Italian.
Overture Guitars, and everyone else. We're raiding.
Can I teach people on YouTube how to swear in Italian?